Hello, welcome to Celebrate the Arts, brought to you by Florida Artist Group, otherwise known as FLAG. FLAG is proudly celebrating our 72nd annual exhibition and symposium. My name is Margaret Juul, and it is my great pleasure to introduce Session 11, Want to Do Commission Work. This presentation is being recorded for later publication and public access. Your questions are encouraged. I'll put my email up at the end of this presentation that you can contact me with. Probably been working on commissions continually since high school, actually. I've been fortunate enough to work in all these different areas of the arts, and I've really gained a lot of knowledge that I'd like to share. As far as commission work goes, I found commission work to be extremely rewarding, both financially and personally. Now, as far as commission work goes for people in general, it doesn't necessarily mean like paintings or textiles, which is kind of the work that I do, but it could also mean graphic art or fiber arts, or interior design, or many other avenues that artists can go into. I'm found that many creative people are turned off by commission work. They might be, they're apprehensive because maybe they don't like to be told what to do, or they're afraid they're going to make a mistake, or it's going to affect their ego. Well, there's lots of different reasons why people don't want to do commission work, but I found it to be extremely beneficial to my career. Not to mention, on any given year, commissions equal to 25 to 35% of my income, which is pretty awesome. Now, I think the question should be asked is why? Why would someone want to work on commissions? Besides being rewarding, it's very challenging. A lot of artists are stuck in their own way, doing things, and sometimes it helps to have someone put some input in and give you some other direction, or just be involved in a project. Not the solo person, their thing all by themselves, but having other people contribute to the project. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're an artist and you want to reach out to a different avenue. Have a very strong portfolio with consistent work in a consistent style. And it doesn't matter what the style is, but it's your voice, it's your work, and it represents you, and it's not it's not copying another artist's style, it's not competing with another artist's style, but it's your voice. And the client will see that and be like, oh, okay, I like that artist's work and I want to have them commission a piece for them. Now, usually in my case, commission work comes to me because they have found a piece of art hanging in a gallery, or I've sold a piece of artwork they found on my website and they want something that looks like it, or at a different scale. Sometimes, not all cases, sometimes they want different colors incorporated into the work, which is fun for me. That don't have a problem with having people contribute to my ideas to my project. Some artists might. They want to be independent, they want to do their own thing, and maybe commission work is not for them. And that's fine. But get your style down, narrow it down. If you do many different types of subjects, narrow it down 2 or 3 and focus on those on your website. Because if you offer too many, it confuses people. I think it's a big mistake that artists make, that when they have a website, they put everything they've ever done on it. And it doesn't necessarily represent where you are now and how you've grown and the style that you want to project out to the world. Your unique style, and that's very important. I also think that in terms of the website, it needs to be clean, it needs to be crisp, it needs to be stylish, and we really need to pay attention to fonts like script fonts, or they'll have a brown background, or they'll have something that's not necessarily, it's kind of a turnoff. Grammar is a big problem. I see a lot of misspelled words. If you're creating it yourself, have somebody else look at it. Definitely have somebody double check it and make sure that everything is correct before you pay them, because it's very, very important, because that is your image that you're giving out to the world. I will say also that as a person that's been reviewing portfolios for 20 years, at least 20 years, you really should find somebody to critique your work. And I don't mean in a negative way, or, I mean just if you have different styles of work or different subjects, have somebody look at it professionally. And it can be a professional, whoever is successful that you know, whether it be another artist or a lawyer or a doctor or somebody that you're friends with or a client that has purchased a number of works from you. Have them review your portfolio and give you constructive criticism, because I think it's really important. But whatever you select, whatever everybody, the feedback you're getting, tell that to whomever's been designing your website, or make notes of it when you're designing your own website with all those things in mind. The last thing you want to do is have a website that's kind of sloppy, and it's not professional, and it doesn't really project a good image. After that, after you've perfected your portfolio, you have it online, and it looks really good, and you're really excited about it. The next step is to consult art consultants, interior designers, and art galleries. Share your website with as many people as you possibly can. Generate and generate more connections with people that will have your back and that will sell your work, and they're really excited to sell your work, because that's what's important. When working with galleries, I think it's exciting because they do all the work basically. They get the business. You just happen to project your image out there and they sell it. As far as commissions go, most galleries I work with are excited that I'm one of the few artists that they represent that actually do commissions, because it's easy. If a customer walks in and they find a piece of work on the wall, and maybe it's not the right size, not the right color, they can tell the client that this artist works on commission and can create something perfect for them, and it's a win-win for everybody because they don't lose a sale. You gain a sale, they don't lose a sale. And now the next step, and this is crucial. When you get a commission, it's really crucial. It's very important that you have a lengthy conversation with the client. Have them tell you what they envision, what they want. It's important that you get the scale. In my case, I ask for images of the space. I ask for paint chips and fabric samples or anything that they might have that I could use to incorporate in the painting, so that I know that they know they're getting exactly what they want. The first step after that process of having that conversation and getting everything pulled together is to do some mock-ups. And what I have the client do is pick out 2 or 3 images from my portfolio, and I have an extensive portfolio. Pick out 2 or 3 images to redesign, reconfigure, and I create a mock-up in Photoshop. Now, years ago, I would do a watercolor, I would do a Prisma marker mock-up drawing, but nowadays, I do pretty much everything in Photoshop. I usually give them 2, the maximum of 3 mock-ups to select from. After that, after I get the approval, I print it out, I scale it, I grid it, I take that grid, I put it on the canvas, I sketch everything out, I create composition, I lay out the paint color. After the first layer of paint is on the canvas, I send an image, and I tell the client beforehand that along the entire process, I'm going to get approvals for everything I do, because I don't want them to be surprised in the end. That's the last thing you want. And I think that is extremely important, and I think it's a mistake a lot of artists make, that they just take the commission, they just go and they run with it. And sometimes, artists get off course or something because they want to be creative, and when it's finished, the client looks and like, that is not what I thought I was going to get. So once I lay the first coat of paint down, I get the composition correct, I ask for approval. A couple days later, after I've worked on it, and then I usually have like 5 layers or more on my paintings. And this is not necessarily specific to paintings. This could be like wallpaper designs, this could be textiles. And then in that case, it goes more towards like specific colors or patterns that they're looking for. But once the composition, it still relates to composition. So once the composition is down and everything is laid out, and I have a few coats of paint on, I'll ask for another approval. And when I'm finished, I get approval again before I clear coat, and then it's ready to go. And everybody's happy. And I think that is the most rewarding part of the process, is that you're making somebody really happy with your work. They could have gone with any other artist. There's artists everywhere, all over the world, and they selected you. And it's a beautiful thing that they have chosen you over so many others. And they're paying a decent amount of money for your work. They love it. They show it to their friends and family, and it generates more sales. It's really as simple as that. Well, first, get your portfolio together. If you need help with a portfolio, I have been doing it for 20 plus years of reviewing portfolios for artists. I do charge a fee, but you will be getting specific information on direction, or even if you're looking to go into the print market or something like that, I can help you with that as well. So the steps are: get your portfolio together, get an awesome website together, share it with as many professionals and other clients, past clients, former clients, art galleries. Just bombard art galleries that you think would like your work, that would sell your work with your portfolio and your website. If you don't hear anything back, give it a couple weeks and ask again, and just see if they had a chance to look at it and if they had any questions. It's a really important step to build your business. I have been fortunate. I had a website in 1995 when the internet was really starting, and I was one of the first few thousand artists to be asked to sell prints through art.com back in 2008. And it has helped me progress as an artist. Even through the years when I worked as an interior designer, I was still selling in galleries, and I was still working on commissions. Back in the 90s, I was working, I spent a good 5 or 6 years just doing portraits. I've done like murals. I did murals before murals were like a thing. Many residential, commercial mural projects. I've textile design, fabric wallpaper, all that kind of stuff. Kind of done it all. And I've learned, I didn't have anybody to tell me, you don't learn this stuff in art school. Nobody tells you specifics. You kind of have to learn it on your own. So I'm here to help people not have to go through things with difficulty or learn the hard way. There are simple ways to do things. The simple ways is usually the easiest for everyone involved. Just don't overthink it. Don't let ego jump in, take over. Because a lot of artists, the ego is kind of there, always there. Commission work will definitely help subdue that quite a bit, because you are working with other people and you are working under the direction of other people and what they think they're getting, which is why initially when I said it was challenging, it's challenging but in a good way. So I think you should try it. I wish everyone great success. If you have any further questions, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer. On behalf of the Florida Artist Group, thank you for joining us for Want to Do Commission Work. We hope you have enjoyed this presentation. A link to the video recording will be sent to you in the next few days. At the end of the session, a short survey will be sent to you. I hope you will reply. Some programs still have openings, so review our roster of events and register by visiting www.floridaartistgroup.org. Thank you.